Welcome to the Great Movie Channel Recaps. Today I will show you a
drama, mystery, fantasy film from 2019, titled Super Me. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. Sang-Yu is a lonely, poor scriptwriter with no job, no friends, and dead parents. His main problem, however, is that he hasn't been able to sleep in over half a year because every time he does, a demon appears in his dreams and transforms them into violent nightmares. Tonight, Sang-Yu is dreaming about being in the subway when the demon arrives, grabs him by the hair and after making a hole on the floor, puts his head through it, killing him. He wakes up right after his dream self dies and tends to do some writing, but his landlord knocks at his door claiming he's brought him some food. But Sang-Yu escapes through the window because he doesn't have the rent money. As he walks the streets, he remembers all the experts he's visited on the subject of dreams, psychologists, doctors, scientists, religious devotees and the like. They all had different theories on what dreams do and can mean, but nothing concrete that could help him in any way. He stops at a food stand and asks for a crepe with no eggs because that's all that he can afford, but the crepe man adds an egg anyway as a free treat. While he waits for his meal to be done, he watches the cafe across the street where Hua-er, the girl he has a crush on, works. He met her years ago when he was hanging out at a bar with some friends and she was there playing with her band. Her singing voice was beautiful, and he has been thinking about her since then. Once his crepe is ready, Sang-Yu sits down to enjoy it, but he's suddenly startled by San-Ji, his manager. Sang-Yu starts running away and drops his crepe on the way, but he's too weak to go too far and San-Ji eventually catches him. He takes him to a restaurant where he makes him watch as he eats, scolding him for not respecting his contract and not handing in a script in time. Sang-Yu tries to explain his insomnia doesn't allow him to concentrate and write, but San-Ji doesn't listen and demands for the script to be done in 10 days. Afterward, Sang-Yu returns to his apartment only to find it locked and all his stuff in the hallway. His landlord has finally kicked him out. He goes to a cafe to see if he can get some writing done there, but he's too hungry to think and he ends up falling asleep. The demon appears behind him then, puts his chains around Sang-Yu's neck and starts banging his head on the table. Once again, Sang-Yu wakes up in the morning right after his dream self dies, and discovers his laptop has been stolen. Having lost his work tool and starting to feel like he can't tell nightmares apart from reality, Sang-Yu sends San-Ji a message telling him he'll kill himself and reunite with his parents. He chooses the roof of the building across Hua-er's cafe and watches her as he steps onto the edge, ready to jump, but the crepe man interrupts him by offering him free food. The man joins him on the roof and while Sang-Yu eats, he tells him about people's different views on death and dreams, and reaches a simple conclusion. When Sang-Yu is having these nightmares, he should tell himself I'm dreaming to be able to get out of them faster. Sang-Yu stays on the roof watching Hua-er until night falls, then he sells his cell phone in order to get some money to buy food. He goes to a convenience store, where he considers stealing some things but changes his mind when he notices he's being watched. The food he purchases is eaten outside the store, where Sang-Yu is shocked to be suddenly approached by Hua-er, who shows concern for him. This is too good to be true, and Sang-Yu quickly sees why. Hua-er is actually the demon, who starts pushing him against the glass. This, to the store clerk, looks like Sang-Yu is having some kind of panic attack. The demon picks up Sang-Yu and as he stabs him with his sword, he throws him through the window. Sang-Yu holds onto the sword as he remembers the crepe man's advice and reminds himself that he's dreaming, which allows him to wake up right in the middle of being thrown. In real life, he's also flying through the shattered glass, and while he isn't stabbed, he mysteriously finds the demon's sword in his hands. He runs away before the ambulance the clerk called for arrives, and he stays at the park all night, examining the sword and making sure he isn't dreaming again. In the morning, he goes to the flea market to sell it, and all the buyer's eagerness to buy makes him realize he has something valuable in his hands. So instead, he decides to go to a pawn shop, where they pay him the sword's actual value, 20,000. Sang-Yu wastes no time and starts spending it. He gets a new computer, eats at a nice restaurant, and stays at a fancy hotel. When night falls, he takes some sleeping pills and waits for his usual dream to kick in. This dream is also happening in the hotel, so he leaves his room and explores the hallway, grabbing a vase and saying I'm dreaming. But nothing happens. He decides to explore a little more and that's when the demon appears, chasing after him with a giant gold axe. The demon hits him with his weapon and tosses him around, causing quite a number of injuries, but after a few hits, Sang-Yu manages to grab the axe and says I'm dreaming. Once again, he wakes up with a weapon in his hands and no wounds to be seen. The axe is sold at the same pawn shop and the money is immediately spent again. Sang-Yu gets nice clothes, a new car, and spends the night drinking with some women in a bar. When he returns to his hotel room though, he doesn't let them come inside with him, he just gives them money for a cab before going to bed. Tonight he's trying a new trick. He looks at pictures of an important museum on a book before falling asleep, and the trick works, because the dream happens in the same exact place he saw in the photographs. Sang-Yu looks around, admiring all the antiques, before sitting to wait for the demon to arrive. This time it arrives with a firearm, which goes against his plan. Sang-yu begins running and dodging the bullets, but eventually the demon catches up with him and kills him. Sang-yu wakes up in his hotel bedroom, but since he didn't manage to grab anything, he doesn't want to leave the job unfinished, so he swallows a sleeping pill. Back in the dream, he begins running again, and after dodging a couple of bullets with a particular exceptional jump, he grabs 2 antiques before saying "I'm dreaming" and waking up. This time, Sang-yu takes the treasures to professional antique dealers that make business with rich collectors. He gets 2 million for them and some questions about his methods, but thankfully he manages to dodge them all. When he's leaving the shop, he's approached by an angry Sang-ji, who had thought he was dead. Sang-yu invites him to eat at a fancy restaurant and pays him back the money he had given him for the script, telling him he doesn't write anymore. The next day, he finally enters Hua ER's cafe, and after ordering a latte, he asks her if she recognizes him, but she doesn't. He also asks her why she's selling the cafe, and she explains it's because she has no clients and the shop only creates debt. Later at night, Sang-yu gets drunk while having dinner with Sang-ji, who wants to know the secret to his success. Sang-ji takes Sang-yu back to his hotel room, and after putting him into bed, he pretends to leave, only to come back and look at Sang-yu's wallet and checkbook. He's suddenly startled when Sang-yu wakes up with gold chains in his hands, and now that he knows the secret, begs his friend to let him help him with this new business of his, which Sang-yu considers for a while. The following day, Sang-yu buys Hua ER's cafe and tells her he still wants her to run it. They can share the earnings, but he'll be in charge of covering the losses. To show how grateful she is, she invites him to dinner, where they discuss their new shared business, and Hua expresses her suspicions of Sang-yu wanting more out of this deal than just money. From then on, Sang-yu goes into dream adventures regularly while Sang-ji protects his sleeping body. Some of his dreams include, for example, robbing a bank, where he shows how much control he's learning to have over his powers. He's starting to fight the demon back, and he can move objects around with his mind. He also starts bringing bigger objects back, like a red car. Sometime later, Hua ER's cafe is full of clients because Sang-yu has sent Sang-ji to pay people on the streets to come. He's also left a bag of money for the crate man as a thank you for the times he's shared a free meal with him. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.